Wow, we are live today with the Wholesale Real Estate Investing number 215 on this Freedom Friday, Hawaiian Shirt Day, January 22nd of 2016. I just want to say welcome to everybody. Welcome noodlers, welcome wannabe wholesalers, welcome wannabe noodlers. I'm Paul Romero. I'm hanging out here from Phoenix, Arizona, from the War Room. And hey, where are you hanging out from? Well, let us know. Type it in. We always like to know where people are following these hangouts and getting some awesome wholesale real estate information that isn't found in the standard traditional methods of wholesale real estate education. Okay, let's put it that way. I'm not going to be poo-pooing anybody's products or services today, but just in the standard information that's out there for wholesale real estate, you ain't getting nothing like this, Jack. All right, and so here I am hanging out from the living room. Let us know where you're hanging out from. We got my business partner here, John Leister. Where are you hanging out from, John?
I'm hanging out from my bedroom in Phoenix, Arizona. And you know what I love about doing wholesale real estate? That my commute to get to work this morning was about 5 seconds. It was from the bed 10 feet away to this chair. And because we do wholesale real estate and we figured out a way to do it that continually brings in deals that we can flip regularly, it's a lot more fun than your average 40-hour-a-week job. Now, Paul and I probably put in 60 hours a week, but guess what we're putting in 60 hours a week doing? Working on a business that we love. And it's not just real estate, wholesaling of real estate. There's a lot of other things of, raising money, meeting with investors for lunch, going out to dinners, masterminding about real estate and masterminding business ideas and all that stuff. But with that, I bring that up because it's Freedom Friday. And you know what? There's a lot of reasons why people get into wholesale real estate, but there's one reason why we all get into that, and that is to make more money and have more time, right? So that's what it's all about: making money, having more time. And you know what? There's a lot of things you can do to make more money and have more time than a 40-hour-a-week job. Wholesale real estate just happens to be one vehicle, and that it happens to be a vehicle of choice for Paul and both myself. And we love it. We love what we do. We love sharing what we do. We have a system sharing what we do. We love coming on these hangouts 3 mornings a week. And some mornings we don't even know what we're going to talk about. We just let it flow out. And because we have so much information about, the Phoenix market in particular, kind of an overview of how the national market's going in regards to real estate and just our success in wholesaling, we just love to come on here and share. So with that being said, welcome to the Hangout. Anybody who's watching, why don't you go ahead and share a comment with us about who you are, where you're hanging out from, what your interest is in real estate. And our email is always up, propertynoodles@gmail.com. Send us an email. Let's connect. So with that, welcome to Freedom Friday and welcome to the show. And how are you this morning, Mr. Romero?
Yeah, I'd like to also say to the viewers out there that, if you do send us an email, give us your email address. We'd like to get you on board to the invites here. We'd like to get some additional faces on the screen here potentially to join in on the conversation, throw in their 2 cents worth. So send us an email. Let us know you'd like to participate one morning, and we'll get you invited on here to the Hangouts, and you can join us, and we can find out what you're doing in wholesale real estate or what you're wanting to do or whatever. We'll just have some fun with it, because that's the title of today's show. It's too funny. It's Friday. Have some fun with it. Just a lot of crazy things going on this morning, and that's wholesale real estate. A lot of crazy things going on all the time. You can't turn around and have anything go as planned, go normally, and that's why I tell people straight up that are interested in the Property Noodler system and joining our team and wanting to get into the wholesale real estate game, that wholesale real estate is not for everyone. This takes a unique kind of a person who can rise to a challenge, so to speak, because every day, everything you do pretty much in wholesale real estate is going to be a challenge, especially when you're starting out. It's just, it's all kinds of things that you don't know about, that you've never done before, that you have no clue what to expect, all kinds of people that you don't know how they're going to react or what they're going to say, you kind of have to be a person who can think on your feet, but you don't have to be at first, because that is a learnable skill. I wasn't at first, okay? I'll tell you that straight up. I was not a person who could think on their feet. If I got into a conversation with somebody, it was very short. I didn't know how to carry a conversation and keep it rolling. And then, after the conversation ended, 5 minutes later, now I would have the perfect, oh, I should have said this and I should have said that and yada, yada, yada. We could have talked about this and all that stuff. That's the kind of person I was, okay, but I'm not anymore, because everything in wholesale real estate is a learnable skill, but you have to be dedicated, to wanting, to your success and wanting to be successful in this enough that you're going to actually put in the time and effort to learn some of these skills, okay? If you don't take the time and effort to learn some of these skills, you might be successful, but you're going to put a limit on your success. You're only going to be able to go so far if you don't learn and grow as a person. And that's what I talked about on Wednesday, was one of the unseen benefits of wholesale real estate. And that's the opportunity for you to have all these challenges and all this new stuff coming your way, and to learn and grow as an individual to a higher level person, that you can stand up to challenges and you can take on the world. And that's what this is all about.
That is. And you know what? Listening to what you had to say there, a few things popped in my mind about maybe the direction we can take our conversation today. And when you're out there talking with sellers, when you're out there talking with buyers, when you're out there raising private money, when you're going to sign up for a bank account, all the actions you take to build and set up your business. And let's take it a step further into your personal life. The person that you're talking to every morning where you buy your coffee, the person when you go into a restaurant, your waitress that you're ordering from. You never know who you're going to meet. And I'm with Paul 100%. There's a lot of skills that I didn't have before I came on board with and learning wholesale real estate that I realized were learnable, that I never even knew were skills that could be learned. How are you going to learn something if you don't even know that it exists to be learned, right? And there's this little concept that I'm trying to get at that's popped into my mind. And the reason I'm making this big deal about you never know who you're going to meet is, for me, is the importance of building a network. You can't do wholesale real estate on your own, let alone anything else, and bring it to a level of ultimate success, financial success, really. Let's talk about that specifically, since that's why most people get into this, in my opinion, is they're drawn in by the prospect of how much money they can make by doing this. But you want to make real money, you want to create real wealth, and you want to continue to make money and build wealth and grow your business. The most important thing in my mind is the word community. And that is directly, who is your community? Who is your circle of influence? Who are your friends? Who are your family? But who are your business associates? Who are the people you buy your coffee from? Who are the people you buy your food from when you're sitting down at a restaurant? Who are the people we're buying these houses from when we go in to negotiate a wholesale deal? And who are the people we're selling them to, and who's financing it along the way? You never know who you're going to meet, and you've got to be open to creating positive relationships with everyone. And it plays into learning the skills that Paul talked about earlier about knowing how to have a conversation. And when you learn how to have a conversation, you realize how freaking easy it actually is. Come here on Monday mornings when we talk about this book, on those hangouts, to see how easy it is. A smile and ask people questions and make them feel important. You can keep someone talking for hours by asking questions. My point, though, that I'm trying to make today is how important a network is, and how you should treat every person you meet throughout the day with respect, whether it's, from the guy that bummed change from you at the gas pump to the multimillionaire who funded your last deal. You never know who you're going to meet. And the reason I say that is because I've been getting over this for years, but how difficult is it to actually not form an opinion about a person based on hearsay, or don't judge a book by its cover? You know that old saying, how many people judge a book by its cover, right? You never make assumptions about people. And I have two great examples of this in the last week. I'll go through it quickly then, and I'm going to toss it back to Paul because I'm sure that his mind's reeling and he'll have some stuff to add to this conversation. But, you know, on Saturday last week, I sat down and I met with a seller for a property. Long story short, he's losing the property to a judicial foreclosure, and he's about 3 weeks away from that sale date. I don't need to get into the particulars of that deal, but this is a really nice guy. He's kind of in a unique situation with why the property is being lost. It's not his home. It's actually a property he bought as an investment several years ago. And things went wrong that were in his control. Things went wrong that was out of his control. But I don't judge. But what I did find out about this guy is that he has a business that has synergy with my business. And less than a week later, I've got this guy going to work for us. Got this guy a job. But more so than just getting this guy a job, he's providing, in my opinion, a very valuable service to us. So we made that relationship. Most people don't look to, all right, besides just buying this house, is there anything else we can do for each other outside of the real estate transaction? You should be thinking along those lines everyone you meet. And I'm going to kind of toss it back to Paul because we went out to a dinner with a potential seller on a property. The guy didn't end up selling us the property, but I'm going to let Paul get into this story. But we had just recently gone out on Tuesday with somebody that we had approached months ago about buying the property. Like I said, we didn't ultimately end up buying the property. And now I'm going to toss it back over to Paul because this is another example of don't judge a book by its cover. Don't fall victim to making assumptions based off a hearsay and a perceived situation, and why it's so necessary to have a conversation with people and be open and look to always be expanding your network with each and every person you meet.
Very awesome. You talked about building, building community, but creating community, a business community. You know, your whole life is, creating your community. You mentioned something in there about, treating basically everyone with respect and not having assumptions about people. And you know what? That's a really, really interesting thing. And I want to relate this to something called the law of increasing returns. Okay. When you see that guy on the street that bums that quarter off of you and whatnot, you have a tendency to really look down on this person and give them, and not have any respect for them whatsoever. And you might even do the same thing for, let's say, somebody that is mowing your lawn for you, or somebody that comes and cleans your house for you, or somebody that you just meet on the street that sort of has a bad attitude, or and like John says, you never know who this person might be underneath the visual frontage that you're getting a picture of here. And the interesting thing is like back in the day, I mean way back in the day, there was a time in this country where you could actually sort of judge a book by its cover, because you could just very easily kind of tell by a person's clothing sort of what their social status was, what their class status was, what their financial status was in this world. I mean, it was very obvious that, a guy had a nice looking suit on, opposed to the guy who's got a ragtag suit on, opposed to the guy who's, wearing, the chaps and the gun on his side, whatever the case might be. But I mean, things were very visually sort of obvious. And that's almost impossible in today's world. I mean, you never know that the guy in the cutoff jeans and the flip-flops and a t-shirt isn't walking around as a millionaire. You don't know that today. I mean, it's impossible to tell those kinds of things. So keeping that in mind, like John says, you never know who that person is on the inside, what they do, what they have, what they, what they're all about. You have no clue unless you open up and talk to them. I mean, that's it. That's what it comes down to. It's the only way you're going to get any information out of a person is to open up and talk to them. Another thing you talked about there was, so the law of increasing returns basically kind of says that, do what you do, will come back to you, in exponential fashion, so to speak. So even though these people that may not look like anything to you, may not, even act like anything to you, or whatever the case is, if you are just doing for them without the desire for an immediate return, you're going to do a lot of things for a lot of people. And this goes throughout your whole life, not just in wholesale real estate, but you have lots of opportunities to do a lot of things for a lot of people and expect nothing in return. And the more of that you put out there, the law of increasing returns says that one day that's all going to come back to you. Basically, the more you put in now, I can't remember exactly how that goes, but it's like the more you put in now, the more you get back later, kind of a thing. So it's just it's really cool. Like John says, this guy that we now have working for us. Here's somebody that we go to buy their house from them, and these are opportunities that you have in your business as well too. Like I say, you never know. Just because this person's in a tough spot, and they have to sell their house because if they don't, they're going to lose it, kind of a thing. Doesn't mean that this is a bad person. It doesn't mean that this is a worthless human being taking up space on this planet. This could be a very good person with very good skills that who knows that just the world has swept the rug out from under their feet, and they just couldn't get back up in time. You don't know these things. So being open to people and being receptive to people and being respectful of people, regardless of who they are, is, goes beyond wholesale real estate. But the more that you bring that into your wholesale real estate business, the bigger return you're going to get, because like we talked about, you just never know who that person might be and how you might, find some synergy to do something together.
Absolutely. And then I kind of left it off. I love, sharing real world examples from my own experience, because this stuff and these realizations are so powerful. You think you know it, you think you understand. Yeah, I get the concept. But then when you actually see the people you attract by actually being aware that this concept is real, that's when you really have your aha moment, when you're like, oh, wow, building this community within my business and treating people with respect, it is so important. Look what I'm getting back now, So you should always put that vibe out there.
That's the hard part. I think that's the hard part is, you have to believe in that this is going to happen, because you're not going to see any results. All of a sudden one day something's going to happen, and then you're going to go, oh, wait a second. And you're going to turn around and you're going to go, oh, wow, look at all this stuff that happened. But as each little piece is happening, you're not even going to see it. You won't notice it. Or if you do, it's going to be such a small little thing. It's not going to feel, it's going to feel kind of insignificant until all of a sudden, like John said, whatever that one certain event is that flips the switch, and you kind of go, oh, wait, I heard about that. I wonder, holy cow, it has been working.
Right, exactly. And you can't judge a book by a cover, because you never know who you're going to meet. The other example I was going to share was several months ago, somebody whose house was coming up for an auction got a letter from Paul and I, and he responded to the letter. And when he talked to Paul, he had no idea this was happening. I kind of assumed it was a certain type of foreclosure other than what it was, because there's more than just bank foreclosure, people. Properties foreclosed for several different reasons. Anyways, I kind of made the assumption that, oh, this guy's full of it. This isn't something he can take care of. Oh, he didn't know about this. And actually, it turned out that he was able to take care of it, and good for him. In fact, since that time, because we're talking several several months ago, close to a year ago. I've seen it time and time again where people's house come up for auction. We give them the information. We're assuming they're going to lose it. A lot of times they're able to turn around and save it. And then meeting these people, who they are and what they do, and how people really are just misinformed and don't know sometimes when bad things are going on, like literally the rug could be swept out from under their feet and they're just caught up in it. And this guy that we met, you know, he took us out to dinner to thank us for sending him the letter and giving them the information so that he could actually stop the house from being foreclosed. And he was in the position to do that. And I would have never guessed that the guy, you know, owned a private jet and published 2 magazines, is the author of 3 books, and is working on another one. Like, and that's who this guy was. And, you know, I don't know if you kind of caught his hints about doing a little bit of business together, that he's got a little money for real estate and he's trying to angle at getting involved with us. It's like, we've been sharing this helpful information with people for a very long time now. And we always maintain that our message is, you know, help now, buy later. Meaning we're not the typical we buy houses approach when we talk to people. And now to see the reciprocations of that and the community we're building, and now the different relationships that are coming out of just people we've approached that are in foreclosure, it's a really amazing thing. And that's where I've had that aha moment. And that's why we're sharing this with you people today that are on this hangout. The reason is that this stuff is so real, and you've got to really realize how important it is to build your network, build your community, and be open to showing respect to everybody, because you never know what somebody's capability is or something that you might get back for helping someone. And you shouldn't help people with the intention of getting something in return. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I think because Paul and I have been helping people without an intention of getting anything from them directly, we're getting something in return related to that. I think Paul can expand that a little bit better.
Like you said, maybe we're not getting anything back in return directly from them, but indirectly from another source, some way, somehow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, we put out enough help for some other people that, you know, somehow somebody that we need, something that we need help with, you know, the right person just happens to show up at the right time and helps us to get something done. And you know, in a situation where you're going, what are we going to do here? And then all of a sudden, hey, there's your answer, you know? And that's a powerful thing right there, asking a lot of questions. What are we going to do here? This is going on. How are we going to do this? And hey, guess what? The mind is an answering machine. I mean, not an answering machine as like, hello, is anybody home? I mean, an answering machine as like, you know, figuring out. It's a computer to figure out the answers to things. You ask it a question, it's going to find an answer for you. Okay, that's the way it works. So ask yourself a lot of questions and you'll get a lot of answers. But, you know, one of the interesting things that you were talking about with, and I mentioned this on Wednesday's show, was that actually, you know, meeting really awesome, cool people is, again, one of the unseen benefits, the unspoken benefits of wholesale real estate. You meet all kinds of crazy people in this business, and all kinds of really cool people, and all kinds of really awesome people, and the whole idea of being able to find out, for a lot of people in the first place, that was where I came from, kind of find out who you are and then become who you are and then just be who you are and be able to just share that with other people and start to experience other people. Just like you were talking about with Mike the other day, with the dinner and all that. That was, I mean, where in my life would I ever have the opportunity to meet a travel writer? Probably slim to none. You know, potentially on the once a year, if that, you know, vacation to some resort somewhere, sitting at the pool bar, having a cocktail, and maybe by chance the guy next to me may have been a travel writer, right? I mean, that's probably the only opportunity I would have ever had to, you know, have something like that happen. And here, you know, through this business, just by helping somebody out and and him just being, you know, appreciative of the work that we do. You know, it was his desire. I mean, we didn't ask him to say, hey, you know what, we did something for you. You want to take us out to dinner? No, it was like, he offered that up. You know, he was like, hey, man, I owe you guys a dinner or something, you know, whatever it is. I'm like, you know, we'll take you up on that. And then I actually tested him back, you know, now since he offered us something, I offered it back in trade. I offered it back, hey, you know, would you mind, you know, giving us a little printout, a little testimonial, so to speak, you know, tell other people what we can use to tell other people, you know, what we were able to do for you and how we helped you out, instead of the steak dinner, right? And he's like, oh, heck no, I'll do both, you know? So here he offers up first, and then I suggest that, you know what, hey, that's a grand gesture, thank you very much. Would you mind switching that for this gesture? Instead, it would mean more to me than that would. And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll do both. You know what? You can't have both in this world. It's awesome.
You can have your cake and eat it too. Contrary to some investors' beliefs.
Yeah. So, you know, and just being able to have fun with all that. That's the whole thing is, you know, being able from A to Z, being able to actually, you know, go to a seller's house who's in a situation and end up at some point during that conversation actually, you know, having a laugh or a joke or having some fun with this, you know, is a great connection. And same thing, you know, just right on up the line with everything that you're doing, including, you know, holding hangouts or creating marketing materials or whatever you're doing. If you're having some fun with it, hey, that's a whole lot better than working and not having any fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Phone kind of threw me off there for a moment, but you know, exactly. It was just amazing to me. And that's what got me thinking along these lines to talk about this topic today, of meeting a travel writer who's written books. And he was a guy we were calling because of a foreclosure. And we assumed that, I wasn't assuming, and you know, never assume anything. I guess, you know, I'm looking at the time, 3 minutes, and what my mind's trying to kind of bring one final point to all this is build your network. That's a gold nugget right there, and why. But also assume nothing about anyone anymore. Like seriously, it's the close. One of the most successful flippers I know that's killing it and making a ton of money looks like a freaking bum most of the time I see him. And every other word out of his mouth is, you know, the F word or something. And there's no filter on it because he'll curse at a bank teller like it's common language. It's most guys that look at him is like, oh, this is some street thug or something. But you know what? That's just one example. But you never assume anything about anyone, especially this day and age. This is the age of sitting at home in my pajamas, making millions of dollars because I have an internet business that I run from my house. I could, like, this computer for me is my whole business. It's my office. It's everywhere. I need this and a journal to do business on. And I could be anywhere in the world and flip real estate and make just as much as the guy who has the 5,000 square foot office space.
And one of these. Got to have a phone.
Yeah, a phone, a computer, and a notebook.
Because you still got to be able to talk to people. But
that's the point I'm trying to make, is like, assume, you know, that's why we can't assume anything. Don't judge a book by its cover, because there's a millionaire walking right by you every day and you would never even think about it because of the way he's dressed. And I'm not saying it's all about money. I'm just saying that's why you never make an assumption about nobody. And I'm going to toss it back over to Paul, but to wrap this up. But, you know, I read kind of an interesting post on Facebook recently. I found it interesting anyway. It was, all right, to all you Powerball players, here's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to call up all my close friends and family and everyone I can think of and ask them that if I could borrow $500. And if even one of them said, yes, you can borrow $500. If I win the power, I'm going to say, oh, thank you. You know what? I'll talk to you tomorrow, but I really don't need the $500. I was just doing a test. And if they say no, you say, all right, thank you very much. I understand you don't have the money. You can't make it happen for me. And then he said, if he wins the lottery, the only person that he's going to share money with when everyone comes to him looking for help is the one that helped him. I bring that up because I thought it was interesting because of the concept behind it is that, you know what? Sometimes you just got to have blind faith and help people or help someone without expecting anything in return. And I'm not saying you go and you give out your money. Maybe it's just 5 minutes of your time. Maybe it's an encouraging email. Maybe it's a call on the phone of, hey, how are you feeling this morning? But, you know, those little gestures, or for Paul and I, sending out letters to everybody that's in a foreclosure situation and telling them what exactly is going on. So if they want to save their house, they can. Yeah, Paul and I don't get a deal, but at the end of the day, we get more back because we're trying to do something without an expectation of getting it back in return. So the community, the networking, not making assumptions about people, doing little bit of gestures nicely, it all kind of stirs into a cosmic soup of that's what it takes to be successful, in my opinion, because that is what's going to bring you the most money at the end of the day, is your ability to help as many people as you can. So with that, I'm going to toss it back over to Paul, and he can give us his final thought and close us out.
I'm just going to throw in a little quote here that kind of goes along the fact of that law of increasing returns, which basically says if you're willing to do what most people won't, soon you'll be able to do what most people can't. And trust me when I tell you, most people won't just freely give respect and admiration and treat people decently to others. I mean, honestly, most people won't do that. If you do that, which is one thing that most people won't, like I said, soon you'll be able to do something that most people can't. What that is in relationship to that, I can't say exactly. It's going to be different for everyone, of course, but trust me when I tell you, it'll be huge. And with that, O universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom, with which to make better use of the riches given to us at birth, consisting of the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever ends I might desire. And that is just have fun with it.